Hi there, and welcome to the Salted Pepper, where we cook for real life using real food and we keep it real simple. And today's vegetable bean soup couldn't be any simpler. This is a complete dump and cook recipe. You're gonna love it. The taste is phenomenal. So the first thing I'm gonna start with is 1 cup of 15 bean mix that I get in a bag at the grocery store. Now this bean mix comes with a ham flavored packet, which I would recommend saving if you're gonna make a ham and bean soup, but for this vegetable soup, we're not going to use that. Now the reason why I chose 1 cup of beans is because I feel like it is the right bean to vegetable ratio for a really good and hearty vegetable bean soup. If you wanted to add more beans, just keep in mind that you will need to add more water. I'm using 4 cups of water for the 1 cup of beans, so you would definitely need to adjust that up if you're going to add more beans. So we're just going to dump that in. Dump in our water, which is 4 cups of water. Now you could definitely use vegetable stock if you like if you make your own from vegetable scraps. I didn't have any, so I purchased something called Miner's vegetable stock. Now I know a lot of people are gung-ho with Better Than Bouillon, and they have a vegetable soup base, and they have, I think, I don't know, several other kinds. Well, so does Miner's. And what I find is Miner's has a little less sodium content, which I end up adding a little bit of salt, but I can be in more control of it. And I just think it has a better flavor. That's my opinion. You can go with whatever brand you like. I think you can find the Better Than Bouillon on the grocery store shelves. This one you do have to order from Amazon. But it's fairly inexpensive, and I will definitely link to it below so that you could check it out. They come in many flavors, and I highly recommend them. We're only going to put in 1/2 of a tablespoon, and that's how concentrated it is. So that jar will last a long time. So we're going to add that in. I'm just going to give it a stir. Now it will dissolve as we cook the vegetable bean soup, but I'm just going to give it a little stir around. All right, now the next thing I'm gonna put in is 1/2 of a very large onion. So it's about a cup of diced onion. And the way that I diced it was in 1/2 inch dices. I wanted little larger pieces because it's a soup and I like my soup to be hearty. So I cut them a little bit bigger, but that's a matter of preference. So you can dice them any size you'd like. I'm gonna dump those in. We have 1 can of fire roasted tomatoes. Now you could use any kind of diced tomatoes that you like, but I do recommend giving the fire roasted tomatoes a try if you haven't. They really do add another layer of flavor to soups and all kinds of tomato-based sauces. I highly recommend them. I'm gonna dump those in. I'm just gonna scrape this out. I wanna get all the juice that I can for the liquid component. All right, now let's talk about our seasoning. So the first thing I'm gonna do is add in 2 teaspoons of sea salt. Now, if you're on a sodium restricted diet, you can certainly omit this and then just salt and pepper to taste after it's done cooking. That's fine, but I found this was a good salt amount in this soup. Now for the spices, what I have here is a 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. When I first made this soup, I used a full teaspoon of pepper and I loved it, but I thought it was just a little bit peppery, so I backed it off to a 1/2 teaspoon. But if you love pepper, go ahead and add the full teaspoon. It is fantastic. I have 1 teaspoon of basil, 1 teaspoon of thyme, and these are all dried, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, and 1 teaspoon of onion powder. Now, if you're gonna use garlic salt, let's say you have that in your pantry, or onion salt instead of powders, that's fine. Just omit the 2 teaspoons of salt and it'll be fine. So we're gonna sprinkle that in. And then, of course, the final thing are our beautiful vegetables here. So what I have is 1 pound of carrots that I just sliced up in about 1/4 inch slices. I have 2 celery stalks, which was about a cup of celery, and I made those kind of big because again, it's a soup and I like them to be big. I have 12 ounces of frozen corn, 12 ounces of frozen peas, and 12 ounces of frozen cut beans. Now, you could use fresh if you'd like. That would be absolutely fantastic. You can use canned, that's fine. Whatever you have. I mean, that's the beauty of a vegetable soup is that you just, whatever you have in the refrigerator, throw it in. These vegetables were chosen because they can withstand the 30-minute cook time that the beans will take. So if you're going to add in something that has a quick cook time, like let's say you want to put in eggplant into your soup or zucchini and squash, which would be fantastic. I do not recommend putting them in at the beginning. I would definitely let the beans finish cooking and then put it on sear saute, and just sort of simmer the soup while those vegetables cook. They have a very high water content and they cook very quickly, and they would just kind of turn to mush after 30 minutes. All right, so let's dump this in. And we're gonna give it one final stir here just to kind of incorporate everything. Now these vegetables are also gonna give off liquid, and that's why the 4 cups is fine. Now I'm not sure actually if I would recommend adding more beans because this pot is pretty full. And if you added more beans, you have to add more liquid. You could maybe get away with a tiny bit more, but not too much. All right, so there we go, it's all stirred in. Looks pretty. And then we just put our pressure lid on. You can line up the arrows. There's 2 arrows here. If you line those up, it makes it real easy to turn the lid. Go ahead and set it to seal. Turn the Ninja Foodi on. We're gonna go to high pressure and we're gonna go for 30 minutes. 30 minutes and hit start. Okay, now it will take this pot a while to come up to pressure because it's a full pot, number 1. Number 2, we have a lot of frozen vegetables in there. So expect it to take, 8+ minutes to come up to pressure. Then we're gonna cook it for 30 minutes and we're gonna let it natural release for 3 minutes. So we'll be back when that's done. Okay, so it did take a long time for this pot to come up to pressure, and I'm gonna guess that it took at least 15 minutes, which really isn't surprising because it is a full pot and we had a lot of frozen vegetables in there. So it did take quite a while, so don't get concerned about that. We went under pressure just fine. We pressure cooked for 30 minutes, and then I was gonna do a natural release of 3 minutes, but time got away from me and it ended up being 6 minutes. That's not a problem. Don't worry about it. You could even let this go to a whole natural release, and then it'll go to the keep warm. So I have manually released the rest of the pressure, and now I'm just gonna open up the lid. Now make sure you do this away from you because you don't wanna get that steam in your face. Okay, I'm gonna give it a stir here.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. Wow, isn't that beautiful? I mean, literally, it would take you all day to develop the flavors in a really good vegetable bean soup or ham and bean, because you could certainly throw ham in here. You could throw chicken, you could throw beef. You could, customize it any way you like. All right, so it looks great. Let's take a scoop out. Now, if you like your soup a little bit brothier, then go ahead and add in some more water and some more of that vegetable base. Or you could add in some chicken stock or, whatever you want to do. I like mine kind of on the chunkier side, so this is a good amount of broth for me. And I always like to serve it with a few little oyster crackers. It just kind of gives a little crunch. Or what would be delicious is my homemade bread. Oh my goodness, I wish I would have thought of that before I started this video, because I would have made some homemade bread this morning. That is super easy, and I will definitely link to that video right up there. Check that out, it's super easy to do. All right, so let's give this a taste. I'm gonna let it just cool off just a minute here. I don't wanna burn my mouth. It's hot. It's very hot, but it is very delicious. I like the texture of the vegetables, and I'm one of those people that really likes vegetables to be on the crisp side. These are not. It reminds me of my mom's vegetable bean soup that simmered all day long, and the vegetables were cooked and they're soft. So if you like crisper vegetables, then I would definitely add in those frozen vegetables at the end, and then just do like a 15-minute simmer saute to cook those vegetables through and to get them softened a little bit. But for me, this is perfect. The beans are absolutely the perfect texture. And that is sometimes hard to accomplish. I mean, if you've cooked bean soup on the stove, you know, you've got to soak them or do a quick boil or simmer them forever because they take so long. In the Ninja Foodi, 30 minutes and they're done. Well, really, I would say 50 minutes because you do have to take into account the time it takes to come up to pressure and then the natural release time. So basically in under an hour, you have got this hearty vegetable and bean soup that is so, so delicious. This is such a fresh and healthy meal. Definitely, if you want more ideas for fresh and healthy, join our Facebook group, Ninja Foodi Fresh and Healthy Meals. We hope to see you there.